name is Smita Sen. I'm a sculptor and a performance artist, and I study the relationship between the body and memory and how the body internalizes memories and significant life events over the course of a lifetime. I think a lot about the ways different cultures navigate this question of like the storage of life's history inside the body, and I draw extensively from South Asian cultures as well as South Asian religious practices in terms of how we deal with the evolution of the body, both the human body and the divine body. So Grief Body Semiotics, this show at Drew University, is a culmination of the artworks that I've been developing since my dad's passing in 2019. So prior to that point, and in the immediate months ensuing, I was developing works on caregiving and community and interdependence, all kinds of works that were connected to his illness while he was still alive. And then the works that followed, the geology of longing works and the Grief Body Semiotics works, were all part of a way of understanding my personal grieving process. So the previous works were about community, these works are about the self. Developing at Drew has been taking these studies of grief in the body and really dropping down into the most physicalized version of that experience. Working a lot with dancers in terms of building out a movement vocabulary for how we move in grief, both in a visceral way as well as in a cultural funerary practice way. Grief Body Semiotics is deeply rooted to my relationship to my family and to the loss of my father. And for each of us individually, we've experienced really different transformations in our bodies after my dad's departure, after his illness and then passing. For me, I developed a series of physical ailments. My mom, for about a year, developed 2 major injuries in her feet and was not able to walk. My brother had a couple of instances of, he's kind of been transformed by having to become the man of the household now. The work is a study of how our bodies have changed, as well as what our bodies may need. And so I think Grief Body Semiotics overall is this really dynamic place of introspection relative to personal lived experience, as well as shared lived experiences between other movers or dancers or individuals who have no background in dance or movement, who want to think about or talk about the way their bodies have changed. And so I think by creating artwork, I've been able to create spaces where folks outside of my family or outside of my community can use this work as a touch point to talk about their own experiences. And my loved ones too get to see their own experiences reflected back to them. I talk a lot about how these works in this show are reflective of different stages of my process, of my grieving process. The works on that wall, the collage pieces and the text works, were in the immediate months following my dad's passing. And so all of these are journal entries that I was developing after work. I'd come home from work at 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m., very intense, long hours. And those were developed in a moment when I couldn't really cry or I was feeling very numb and I couldn't really make sense of what I was going through. And so these pieces over here, the sculptures, came after the collage and text works. These sculptures are the Geology of Longing feelings fossilized pieces. There's 5 sculptures. Each of them is representative of a different physical ailment, a different ghost pain that I developed after my dad's passing. And so with these, you can see the transformation. The first was kind of me processing this immediate loss, this kind of shock. These are kind of going really slowly and visualizing these physical remnants of grief and of loss. Then once the sculptures were made and fabricated, because these were all 3D models, these sculptures then gave me permission to take this pain outside of my body and look at it and understand it anew.
How it accumulated, but most of the porosity you're looking at now is due to partial dissolution.
And then last but not least, we have the films. With these films, I get to go to places that my dad studied in his life and career as a geologist. And so I'm able to go outside of myself, access these parts of his story that are so special and unique to him. This was his life's work, this was his love, was the earth. And so with these most recent dance pieces, I find that you can see that I've really turned a corner in some ways, where I'm able to explore and examine and understand grief in a way that's very holistic and gentle, whereas in the earliest works, I wasn't really prepared to go there.
Carbonate mineral that we call aragonite.
And so, yeah, I can see how the work has transformed me and how I've transformed with the work. Yeah.
So wherever you have so much of this aragonite, it can dissolve very quickly.